Hello, middle school general music students. Today we are going to start our exploration of world music, and we're going to start in Africa. Now, we have to keep in mind that, uh, let's say I said that we were going to explore music from the United States. There is a lot of different music in the United States that we could study. You might say, what genre are we studying? What time period are we studying? And there could be an entire year's course just on that, or multiple years courses just on that. So it's the same thing when we're looking at music from Africa. We could probably just pick one country in Africa and spend a whole year studying their music. So this is just a very brief snapshot. I found some different things that I wanted to share with you that I thought you would enjoy. So keep in mind that this is not in any way an overview or showing you everything. It's just showing you some neat things that you might not have known before. Um, so here's our map of the world, and hopefully everyone knows that Africa is the continent down here, and then Africa is made up of smaller countries. If we look at the next slide, this is a closer map so that you can see some of the country names. And I'm going to show you the three places we'll be visiting today. This green country up here is named Ghana, and we're going to be starting there. Then we're going to move over to Tanzania, and we're going to end down here in South Africa. Before we go any further, I want you to know that on in the Google Classroom, this slideshow presentation is available for you to access. There's going to be points throughout this video where I ask you to pause it and go watch a different video, a musical example. So you'll need to be able to pause and go to that Google slide presentation to access those videos. So if you need to do that now, go ahead and grab that Google slide presentation. But we're going to start by looking at traditional African music. This might be the thing that you most often think of when you hear music from Africa. You might think of people sitting in a drum circle, congregating together to play music, and that's what we would call traditional African music. So this is the type of music that's been passed down throughout the years, and it's been passed down orally. And what that means is that it's been passed down by ear. So rather than me handing my child the sheet music for the piece of music that we're going to play, I would teach it to them. It's kind of in the same way that you, from a very young age, knew how to sing Happy Birthday. Your parents didn't hand you sheet music, you just learned how to sing it. So, this music, many of these songs have been passed down from generation to generation to generation, and they're still around today. This music relies very heavily on percussion instruments. We're going to take a look at those in a moment. And they often have some really complex rhythms. So, if you think back to your elementary music days, you may have learned rhythms like ti and ta and tiri tiri. And those are what we would consider a little bit more of a simple rhythm. And so, this African music tends to have some things that are a little bit more complex. And you'll be able to hear that complexity in the listening examples. So, like I said, a lot of this music is still performed today, even though it's very old, and you'll often hear it at social gatherings or special events. And these performances they're really like a social thing that happens in Africa. So the performances are often long, and there's audience participation that's encouraged. You might see a video of um, people dancing around the drum circle. Maybe people will bring their own instruments to join, and so it's a very social activity, which is really neat to see and to experience. Here's let me just move myself over a bit. Here's a picture of some of the traditional instruments that you might see, and when we watch an example in a moment, you'll see some of these. And you might notice that a lot of these instruments look really familiar to what you may have used in elementary music class. We in the United States have actually kind of borrowed some of these because they really lend themselves well to playing in a group setting like music class. So this drum right here is called the djembe. You may have had a chance to play one of those. We have instruments that have bars like the xylophone or marimba, shakers. So some of these might look kind of familiar to you. So let me go to the next slide here. This is a spot where I'm going to have you in a minute pause and watch this video. I'll just set it up here. This is a group of drummers. The one thing that you're missing is that social aspect I was talking about, because they actually filmed this as a demonstration to share with other people. So they're not at an event. They actually all set up in a quiet place to perform. So right now, go ahead and pause the video and watch this drumming video. All right, so hopefully you were able to hear some of those complex rhythms. I really liked in this clip how it would zoom in to each instrument and each player so you can kind of see it a little bit better. And I also liked seeing the different types of sticks that they had to hit their drums with. I thought that was really neat, and some were just using their hands. So I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to move on to my favorite part of this. Something that you see often in Africa is what's called work music. And work music are different songs that they use to make work easier. Maybe the music indicates when you do a certain action, so there's more of a rhythm to it. And it's really neat to watch. So, again, excuse me, I'm going to set up the video here and then have you go watch it. So over here on the left, this is a postal worker, so in the post office, and this man's job is to stamp all of the letters. And you'll see as you're watching it that some letters get one stamp, some letters get two or three stamps. It depends on how much postage is on that letter, but he has this little rhythm and this little tune going, and I think he even sings a little bit to kind of help him get in the rhythm. And he, I think, is going through that stack of letters much faster than I could, and I think a lot of it is because he's in that groove and in that rhythm. So go ahead and pause and watch that video. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Now we're going to go over here to the right. I said that after, by the way, the postal worker was in Ghana as well, just like the drummers in the first video. Now we're in Tanzania, that second country that I talked about, and this is a group of people. So this song is intended to keep a group of people together. There is a little bit of a description, a written description at the beginning of the video. I believe that they are digging rows where seeds will eventually be planted. I think that's what it said they're doing, and so this guy over here with the instrument, he's not actually doing the work. He's playing a song that's helping everyone else stay in rhythm with one another. So their tools go down into the dirt and they pull at the same time, and it's really cool to see that. There's also some shouting and singing, and it said in the beginning of the video that that's sort of like encouragement. So even though we can't understand what that is, just know that they're encouraging words that he's saying. So go ahead and pause and watch this video. So those are two really good examples of work music. There's all sorts of other examples, and I think that's one thing that's really unique about African music is that it's incorporated um, into the workday more than we ever would see over here in the United States. So let me go to our next slide here. I wanted to give you an example of popular music in Africa. So the first thing to know is just like here in the United States, we have a lot of different genres and there's influence from a lot of different places in our music. It's the same thing in Africa. They have music that's been influenced by the blues, by jazz, and they have African rock, African heavy metal, all sorts of different genres of music. And unfortunately, just like in the United States, a lot of their music isn't necessarily appropriate for middle school students. So I had to weed through and find something that I thought you would enjoy, but that also was appropriate. So, what I'm going to show you today is this group right here. They're a duo from South Africa, and their name, excuse me, their name is Mafiki Zolo. And this is a really popular group that actually has been around since the 90s in South Africa, but they are still popular today. And in fact, they just came out with a brand new song in February of this year that's become very popular. And so that's what we're going to listen to today. This is the up on the screen, the title of the song. I couldn't find any translation or any pronunciation to know how to say it properly, but I did find that it means they won't be right. And this song is actually an interpretation of the story Romeo and Juliet, if you've ever read that or know what that's about. And so you can kind of get the idea as you're watching the music video about what's happening. It's two people who are in love, but their parents don't necessarily think that they should be together. And so you can kind of see that unfold, even though you can't understand the words that they're saying in the song. So if we go to the next slide here, here's our video, so you can pause and go watch that music video. I hope you enjoyed that. One of my favorite parts about watching this was getting to see some of the scenery. I said they were from South Africa. I assumed also filmed in South South Africa. There was some beautiful mountains in the background. So it was your very brief introduction to some different types of music in Africa. Your job now is to complete the Google Doc that's posted in the classroom and make sure that you submit that by the end of the day. If you have any questions with that, you can shoot me an email and we can figure out what the problem is so that you can get it in on time.